Hello, my lovely friends. Thank you so much for joining me this week for this 4-part mini-series on empowering your inner healer. If you're just joining in, today is the last day, so if you missed any of the videos, just go back and listen to them. They're saved in the Facebook group. And today we're going to be focusing on limiting beliefs and really discovering what the limiting beliefs are. Sometimes we have a block there and it can be hard to figure out what are they before we can then be empowered to release them. So first of all, what is a limiting belief? It is something that you believe about the world or yourself or others that is holding you back or keeping you stuck in some way. It's limiting. Okay, it is as it sounds. And the connection between our thoughts and our intentions and our brain and our physical health and the physiological processes in our body is amazing, 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 amazing. As someone who loves the science behind all of this, I highly recommend you guys go look into this too. I've been really speaking out about it a lot this week on my Instagram and social media platforms because it's fascinating, not only the gut-brain axis, but also the placebo and nocebo effect and how much our health is not determined by genes. Very, 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 very small percentage of our health is determined by genes, but instead by our environment, which is partially our emotions, love, anger, frustration, excitement, okay? So there's a whole rabbit hole we could go down there, but today we're going to focus on what are these limiting beliefs. So first of all, we know what a limiting belief is, something that's holding you back, keeping you stuck, it's limiting in some way. What are some examples of these limiting beliefs? Some examples include, I can't blank, I can't ever be successful, I can't heal, I can't have a healthy relationship. I don't have time. That's a limiting belief. Time is an illusion. I don't have enough resources. It's too late to change. I have too many responsibilities. I'm responsible for everyone, like I talked about in my podcast. I have no clue where to start. I'm not worthy of blank. I'm not worthy of health, love, money, abundance. I have to fix blank. I have to fix everybody. I must be broken, therefore I need to fix myself. You're not broken, love. So anything filling in the blank there. You must stay, I must stay in survival mode. Survival mode is the only safe place to operate from. When we know survival mode is actually what makes us sick. No one ever changes. No one will ever change. I won't change. They are not going to change. This is just the way it's going to be forever. And there's many more in this group that you guys shared with me because some of you do know this is my limiting belief, or you might know this is the strongest one that's affecting me the most in my life. But there's likely some others underneath there, kind of when you peel back the layers of the onion. Yeah, that one on the surface was kind of obvious, and like say it's about money. It's like we deal with money every single day. That one's really in your face. It's really obvious to you. But maybe once you peel back that money belief, you find underneath it there's some like worthiness stuff going on. There's some deserving energy going on. So underneath that, there can be a little bit deeper stuff going on, and we're gonna play with that today. So beliefs, how are they formed in the first place? They're formed mostly between the ages of 0 and 7 and through repeated thoughts, and the only reason they hold any weight is because you gave them weight. You decided that they were true. You decided that this is what you were going to believe, and they're only true because we decided that they were. Excuse me. Sometimes we haven't done that consciously though. So because we're so malleable, pliable in the first 7 years and really through our whole adolescence, those years of our lives, so malleable, we see the repeated thought or pattern of adult figures, especially parents in our life, and then we take that on as, oh, well, this must be true. And so you might not consciously like sit and say, okay, I'm going to believe that the world is an unsafe place. But subconsciously, you've seen the evidence of it, the proof of it, and it's been passed down to you potentially. And so you might have unconsciously picked up this belief, or it could be something that you developed later. So the cool part is that we created these beliefs, therefore we can recreate these beliefs. And the first step is becoming aware of what that limiting belief is. So what I'm going to discuss today is how to figure that belief out. And if you already feel like you've got all your limiting beliefs figured out, then go straight to the podcast, episode 51 of the Healing Uncensored podcast, and that will break down how to release the belief. But first, we have to figure out what it is. And in that process, I prompt you to just kind of write out your story and figure out what are the most common thoughts that you're having in your life. But not everyone gets success through that process. They need to kind of have more structure to be able to kind of dissect, peel back the layers, and figure out what is going on underneath, which is why we're going to do the tapping tree today. So this is a tool that I've taught in past 21 Days of Healing programs. It's in the Tapping, I don't have it right next to me, the Tapping Solution book by Nick Ortner. This is where this comes from. It's really helpful. I love it. I typically put my own spin on things a little bit, so it might be a little different than you would read it in the book. But it's a really cool way to discover the limiting belief, to either tap on, to go through my 8-step process in the podcast, go through it that way. So then we release after we discover. Okay, so you're going to need paper and pan today. Paper and pan. And we're going to draw a tree. So your tree does not have to be pretty. You do not have to have any sort of artistic talents. It could really just be lines on the page. So there's 4 main components of our tree. I usually build it from the bottom up. The first is going to be the roots. Okay, so those are my roots. Again, I was a studio art minor in college, so I can draw a little bit, but this is not difficult. I just want to show you guys that. Okay, then you're gonna have your trunk, and I want your trunk to be like fairly. Don't make it too skinny because we're gonna write inside of it. Okay, and then you're gonna make branches of your tree. See, literally, this is just squiggly lines on a page. Root, trunk, branches, and then leaves. But make your leaves, again, big enough that you can write in them. So everyone's tree will look a little different, but we just want to make sure there's some space to write. Okay, I've got some leaves on there. Root, trunk, branch, tree. Leave. Okay. Comment below once you have your tree drawn and how you're feeling about it so far. So we're going to start from the leaves to the roots. I know we drew it from the roots to the leaves, but we're going to start at the leaves, okay? So these leaves represent our symptoms and side effects, okay? So what are some of the symptoms, those pesky little things that you're experiencing that we can learn to love, but might see them as annoying currently? What are those that are showing up in your life right now? Okay, what are the symptoms that you're experiencing? For example, you might be experiencing brain fog. You might be experiencing joint swelling. You might be experiencing a loss of circulation. You might be experiencing headaches. One of my symptoms, my body's favorite way to communicate with me is through skin breakouts, whether that is like keratosis, eczema, acne, melasma, vitiligo, like rashes. My anxiety manifests in my skin. Like there's so many things that show up in my skin. So one of my main symptoms or side effects is breakouts. So you'll write that inside of your little leaf, okay? And then any other ones you can think of. So the examples I gave were mostly on the physical level, but this could also be related to an emotion, but how is it showing up tangibly in your life? Okay, because we're going to go to the emotions. So I want you to start more with like, what is tangible, what is physical that is a side effect or symptom. Okay, so brain fog is another one. You guys can drop some of your examples below in the comments too. Fatigue and like bloating, any sort of digestive stuff. So now I've got a few of my leaves full. You don't have to fill all of them, just fill the ones that you might need to make more leaves on your tree. but just fill as many as you need to fill in the symptoms that you are experiencing. Okay, now we're going to go down to the branches. So the branch connected to each of these leaves is the emotion that comes from that symptom. So, for example, brain fog makes me feel frustrated. And I would write that along the branch. So here I've got my brain fog leaf and then this emotion of frustrated along the branch. And you are free to welcome to work on all of these at once, or maybe you just want to work through one or two today to start to narrow down like at least a couple routes where we're going. Don't feel like you have to do this all at once, but it is helpful to really just put everything on the table eventually. Might take a couple layers to do that. So some other emotions that might come up. So let's say inflammation was a symptom, and that makes me feel exhausted. And maybe some of you have circulation issues or Raynaud's syndrome, loss of circulation. That makes me feel afraid, fearful. I used to lose circulation to my hands whenever I had panic attacks, and it was really fear-inducing because I would like lose control of my hands and I felt like I was going to die. Just exacerbated the panic attacks even more than they already were. Skin breakouts, those make me feel angry. Fatigue makes me feel sad sometimes, like I'm missing out. Bloating makes me feel probably frustrated. Okay, so we've built out the top part of the tree, and then we're gonna look into our trunk. And the trunk is, again, you want a little bit of space to write in there, is for your life events. So as we go up to the branch, let's use the frustration branch. And what has a source of frustration been in your life? That could be a source of frustration from today, or it could be a source of frustration from last year, or going back, okay? So what makes me frustrated? We're not connecting it to anything else. We're just saying, okay, what makes me frustrated in my life? What makes me frustrated was when I didn't do my best in school. What makes me frustrated? When I don't feel heard. When I don't feel important. What makes me feel frustrated? When the house is a mess. Okay, so these seemingly have like nothing to do with each other, but we're just putting it all on the page because we're gonna get there. And let's just do one more. So let's see, the loss of circulation or panic attacks in my case made me fearful. And what are some life events that make you fearful? What induces fear for you? What has created stress or fear in your life as a kid or now or both? So it's okay, like my trunk's already kind of full. You can expand it out if you need to as well. And so let's see here. What has created fear or stress? So dad leaving and moving out when I was like 12 and just being afraid that our family was breaking up. What makes me feel fearful? Well, one of my current most fear-inducing things that I'm really working on is this stalker I've been dealing with for 3 years now. That's probably the most fear-inducing. What else? Money maybe is fear-inducing for people. Their debt could be fear-inducing. What else creates stress or fear? A lot of people had car anxiety, driving in the car, icy roads, okay? So public speaking. Now your trunk is pretty full of all of these different life events that are linked to the emotions that are on your branches, okay? Now we're going to go on to the roots, and the roots are, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? So, for example, I would go to the fear, the panic attack that led to the fear, that example of fear presenting itself as my dad leaving and moving out when I was 12. And then I would ask, what do I believe about myself in that situation? Well, I believe that I wasn't enough. I wasn't enough for him to stay. I wasn't lovable enough to make him want to stay. And then I could go down to what I didn't do. So what made me feel frustrated was that I didn't do, when I didn't do my best in school, or I didn't get an A++, right? And so what do you believe about yourself? I'm not smart enough. Okay. When I don't feel heard, that makes me feel frustrated. So what's a belief that you have about yourself around this frustration of not feeling heard? What I have to say is not important. Okay, I'll do one more. Money creates fear, or debt creates fear. I will never have enough. Enough in general, or maybe it's specific to money. And those are your roots. Okay? So there we've got our full tree. If anyone's having any blocks, any frustrations, any questions, please drop them in the comments. And I'd love to see what your roots look like. So these are your limiting beliefs. Now, you might have written some things that you believe to be true about yourself that are positive, and therefore we can kind of just go through. So let's say that you, I don't feel important, but the belief about yourself is actually, I'm worthy of attention, or something like that. So if that were another root over here to the side, you could just leave that one, and obviously that's amazing. That's an amazing belief. I am worthy and deserving of attention, of being noticed, of being loved. All those things can stay. We don't have to work on those. But if you find that you have a mix of positive and negative beliefs, or limiting beliefs, then you could go through and you could just circle the ones that you feel like, ooh, I really want to work on this. I don't want to feel like I'm not enough. I don't want to feel like I'm not smart enough. I don't want to feel like I will never have enough, and living from this place of lack. Okay, so I've circled some that I want to really work on. And those are your limiting beliefs, at least a start to them. Again, sometimes there's like an onion, peeling back the layers. And what I want you guys to look at here is what would you like to shift into? What would you like to shift into? So for example, this belief, I'm not smart enough. Does that feel good in my body? No. Then we would go into, once we realize this belief doesn't feel good, then we would go into breaking down the kind of story behind it, and we would release that belief. But for today, we're just identifying them. So again, if you're like, okay, don't leave me hanging, Sarah, I want to work through these now that I know them, go listen to the podcast, episode 51, and I'll walk you through step by step how to then release it and dissect the story and prove the story wrong behind it. So major takeaway here is that we have to start addressing these beliefs if we want to fully heal. If we want to step into our true selves, if we want to align with our soul's purpose, if we want to heal physically and emotionally and energetically, we have to be more aware of our emotions, of our thought process. So much of this, as I mentioned in the beginning, is programmed at a really young age and might have been subconsciously kind of ingrained within us. We didn't consciously make this choice, this decision to start thinking this and believing this, and then therefore that belief impacts so many other things in your life. So what this is doing now, at whatever age you are now, you're saying, okay, I'm going to empower my inner healer, and I'm going to become more aware of all of these things that are constantly going through your brain. 90% of our thoughts are the same as they were yesterday. And so while kind of scary to comprehend that means that's not something that's like set in stone. You can't have any more than 10% of new thoughts each day. You can, but the majority of us don't ever change anything. We don't change. Change is scary. We resist it. We're super resistant to it. And what all of these exercises this week are doing for you are starting to push the weight towards change instead of, I saw this thing on Instagram last night, said we all have two choices, evolve or stay the same. Okay, so we always have that choice. We always have that choice. Evolve or stay the same, remain neutral, remain where you are, remain stuck. And so we have this choice to evolve. And part of that is an awareness of what's going on in your head, because until you take the time to do the tapping tree, that's what the name of this exercise is from the Tapping Solution book. Or you take the time to go through that podcast episode, or you take the time to go through 21 days of healing. We can't expect things to just like shift without the awareness of them. We have to have awareness of them. Then we can believe in the miracle and we can expect the miracle, but we have to have the awareness. And so this is an opportunity for all of us to become much more intimately and deeply aware of our thoughts and our thought process. Okay? Any questions, please let me know. Yesterday afternoon, I opened up a 2-part payment plan for 21 days of healing. So this means you can now get started for under $100, $94, 2 payments of $94 to enter the program. The first payment will start the day that you sign up, today, and then the second payment will go through 4 weeks later, so there's plenty of time for you to get your finances in order and then submit your full payment by a month. I can't wait for this program. I'm so excited. There are a bunch of you already inside. I'm going to make the Facebook group today so that we open up the community. And you guys have the next 6 days to kind of just get to know each other. I'll be popping in. We're going to build the momentum and excitement around getting started on January 16th. The cart closes the day before, January 15th, and I take a limited number of people. It's a larger program, but I still want to make sure that I cap it so that I'm able to address everyone's questions, give you the one-on-one support as needed within the group setting, and that nobody gets kind of like left out or unheard. So I do cap it within a certain number just so that I can fully show up and hold space for that number of people. Yes. Thank you again for joining me for this 4-part mini-series as well. I'd love to hear your major takeaway over the past 4 days. And again, if you're just catching me live today and you haven't listened to the previous 3 days, they're in the group, #EmpowerYourInnerHealer. Go find them, listen to them. Each of them were different topics, so you don't have to watch them in order. They don't grow on each other. They're just different tools that you can add to your holistic healing toolbox, which is, again, what 21 Days of Healing is all about, tapping into your inner healer, building your emotional healing toolbox that many of us don't have. We just don't have those tools. We weren't taught those tools. In 3rd grade, we did not have a class on communication. We didn't have a class on emotions. We didn't have a class on spirituality or limiting beliefs, right? And so all of these things get so left out of our education as a child, and then we come and we're an adult and we're like, oh my God, I don't know how to, what are these emotions? What do I do with them? I don't know. I don't know how to discover them. I don't know how to release them. It feels bad, but I don't know what to do about it. And that's what I'm here to teach you. So if you think this would be beneficial to you in your healing and stepping outside of maybe what you're currently doing in your healing that has led you to make progress, but now you're feeling like you're at a healing plateau, that's exactly who this program is for all of you who really want to have that life-changing experience. Build the tools that are going to be there for the rest of your life. Okay? I love you guys. Hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you in the group soon.